Description Code Setup. The following steps will wrap up the basic setup for billing under the Admin tab. The following steps pertain to setting up the service description codes. You will move to the Description Code section under the Admin tab and select New. You will need to have your service codes and rates per your state. There are HCPCS codes and CPT codes. CPT codes are mainly used in mental health and medical procedures, and HCPCS codes are used for waiver services. Next, you will start by entering in the service description. This could either be from the rate list or description designated by the agency. The service description is not sent with the claims, so your agency can get as descriptive as you like. Next, you will enter in the service code listed per the state, for example, T2021, or designated by your agency if not used for electronic submissions. Next, the unit of measure will be entered, for example, could be something like daily, hourly, 15 minutes, etc. The unit rate is next. The unit rate can be a rate designated by the state per the unit of measurement, or could be designated on the individual service authorization if it is a negotiated rate. You will then enter in the procedure modifiers, if applicable, per service code. They are always 2 digits. Alpha or alphanumeric, such as U, 6, or TH, and these codes may indicate an agreement of what staffing ratio is being provided or added service levels. Some states may not have any procedure modifiers. We then come to the option of Enable Rate History. In the beginning of using Therap, agencies will not normally use this feature, but will come back to it if the rates change. For instance, if a rate were to change, you could come under the description code that you would like to adjust. You will then select Enable Rate History, which will cause a line to come up that will have service dates to and from and a unit rate. You will then enter in the dates of the old rate of when it started and ended, and will enter in the previous unit rate. This will make any billing generated in that date range effective with the previous rate. After, you will then select Add More, where another line will come up. Then enter in the dates for the new rate. This will roll over onto any generated billing done after this date with the new rate. The beginning date of the new rate will need to be the day after the old rate ended so they do not overlap. You will normally not have an end date for the new rate. In this case, we recommend to enter in a date far off into the future. Then enter in the new unit rate. You will also want to change the unit rate at the top of the page.
The primary diagnosis and the diagnosis pointer fields are required fields for professional claim types.
You'll then come down to the box stated Primary Diagnosis Code, and next to the ICD-9, you will enter in the Primary Diagnosis Code. This is just a default, so we recommend using 7999, which is an other unknown. Depending on the state, this may be acceptable. Other states designate a specific diagnosis code for each individual. If this is the case, when you enter in the client authorization, you can adjust the description code there. After this, you will then enter in 1 for the diagnosis code pointer. This will always be 1. For electronic billing, please leave selections as defaulted, unless otherwise specified by a Therap billing specialist. Do not use the new ICD-10 codes in these fields unless authorized by the payer to do so in advance of the CMS effective date for that change in coding. Now we move on to rounding algorithms. The first part, which is automatic unit calculation from time in, out, will be utilized if time increments are designated in the unit of measure, for example, hourly, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, Otherwise, leave this section blank for monthly, daily, or per session unit rates. If there is a time increment in the unit of measure, use the drop-down and select the applicable unit. It should be the same as the unit of measurement listed above. Now we will need to figure out the rounding algorithm. This will round the time per time in, out entry. For example, if 17 minutes of time is gathered and the down option is selected, the system will round down to 15 minutes, if you have selected 15 minutes as your unit of measurement. Another example is that in Florida, a lot of times the unit of measurement will be an hour and they will select half up, and the smallest increment being 60 minutes. What this would do is make it that if 4 hours and 30 minutes was entered into the system would calculate this as 5 hours or 5 units. However, if it was selected as half down, then the calculation would be for 4 hours or 4 units. Another example could be if 15 minutes was the unit of measure and half up was selected and 15 minutes as the smallest increment. This instant is quite common in billing. So, if 7 minutes is entered, there would not be a unit. But once 8 minutes hit, then there would be one 15-minute unit, and so on. The smallest increment allowed designates the smallest time increment allowed to be billed. If your unit of measure is listed as hourly and an hourly rate is designated but can be billed for a smallest increment of quarter hour, then you can select 15 minutes. Once all of the above information has been entered, you can scroll to the bottom and select Save, or Save and Create New to complete more service descriptions. This concludes our training on billing setup from the Admin tab. Please do check out our other courses for further training.